that if they allow Hezbollah to take over Lebanon, Israel will bomb Damascus. They have also warned they would strike Damascus if missiles supplied by them are used in major attacks on Israeli cities. It appears that Syria is preparing to do both of these things. So Isaiah's prophecy in chapter 17, verses 1 and 2 could happen soon. Now this prophecy warns that Damascus will be totally and irrevocably destroyed in something like a matter of seconds. I'll be back after this message. When you support the Hal Lindsey Report with your tax-deductible gift, you're joining me as a watchman on the wall. I've told you many times that I believe God raised up the Hal Lindsey Report to be a voice of warning to the church, the nation, and the world. I've also told you that I can't do this job alone. I need your help. I need your prayer support and your financial support. And praise God, I've received both in generous supply in the past. But we can't stop now. Please stand beside me on the wall as we proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ and warn the world that He's coming soon.
To support this program, send your tax-deductible gift to Hal Lindsey Media Ministries, P.O. Box 470470, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74147. You can also support this ministry online. Visit hallindsey.com or call 1-888-RAPTURE.
In my book, The Late Great Planet Earth, first published 41 years ago, I wrote, if the formation of the European common market were an isolated development in the line of Bible prophecy, then it would have no significance for our study. However, combined with the other pieces of the prophetic puzzle, which we are attempting to develop for you, it takes on immense importance. We believe that the common market and the trend toward the unification of Europe may well be the beginning of the 10-nation confederacy predicted by Daniel and the book of Revelation. Central to the prophetic outline of the book of Daniel for the last days are the existence of two particular scenarios. The first is that Israel must exist, and her existence must be universally opposed by her surrounding neighbors. The second is that there must be a revival of the political power that destroyed the city and the sanctuary, or Jerusalem and the temple, as described in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. Daniel writes, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The people that sacked Jerusalem and destroyed the temple was the proud Roman 10th Legion under the command of Titus, who became the future emperor of Rome. Daniel identifies the prince of a revived Roman Empire as the Antichrist, who will confirm a 7-year peace agreement between Israel and her enemies, mentioned in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. Last weekend, the foreign ministers of France and Spain, Bernard Kouchner and Miguel Moratinos, paid a visit to Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman. They were there to promote a summit proposed by French President Nicolas Sarkozy to be held in Paris. Sarkozy has big plans for the summit. He hopes to use it to carve out a more prominent role for France in the Arab-Israeli peace process. Sarkozy has publicly stated that he believes America's monopoly on the process does not help advance it. He thinks the United States has made damaging mistakes in leading the negotiations. But the Israeli foreign minister is not known for his tact. His reputation is for his intense national pride and his bluntness when dealing with others. But according to the polls, it is apparent that he speaks for the majority of Israelis. So Avigdor Lieberman decided to turn things around on his European counterparts. He politely but straightforwardly told them to mind their own business until they settled their own problems. He said, I don't expect you to solve the problems of the world, but I certainly expect that before you come here to teach us how to solve conflicts, you will deal with the problems in Europe and solve those conflicts. Lieberman reminded the two diplomats that the conflicts in Cyprus, Serbia, Kosovo, and the Caucasus Mountains continue to rage. He told them that if they could end those conflicts successfully, then Israel would listen to their advice. The foreign minister suggested that the Europeans' motives were less about peace than they were about securing European interests. Lieberman said, in 1938, the European community decided to appease Hitler instead of supporting Czechoslovakia and sacrifice them without gaining anything. We will not be the Czechoslovakia of 2010. We will ensure the security of Israel. Mr. Lieberman then accused the entire international community of trying to make up for its peace failures everywhere else by forcing a bad peace deal down Israel's throat. He said, what about the struggle in Somalia, North Korea, Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, and the Sudan? Instead of talking now with the Arab League about the future of a referendum in Sudan, or discussing the explosive situation in Iraq in 2012, the international community is applying great pressure on Israel. Israel's chief diplomat said that the worst part is that the international community knows exactly where these ill-fated peace efforts are heading, toward increased violence and eventually another Arab-Muslim invasion of Israel. Historically, international efforts to broker peace in the Middle East by pressuring Israel to surrender land have only resulted in the rise of Muslim extremists like Hamas and an increase in violence. The European foreign ministers were scandalized. Well, that was way too much truth all at once. The French called it a breach of diplomacy. The Spanish foreign minister wanted to remind the Israelis of how helpful Spain has been. Senor Moratinos told reporters, if we didn't play an important role, if we were truly devoid of influence, our friend Lieberman would not have reacted as he did. Who saved the national Palestinian leadership? The Europeans, not only financially, but politically as well. Moratinos wasn't finished. Yes, Europe has its share of problems, but we are also an example for conflict resolution. Europe is made up of 27 nations who had been warring for hundreds of years and have still been able to strike peace. French Foreign Minister Kouchner had some parting thoughts too. He said, we leave here optimistic that we, Europe, and especially Spain and France, can help propel this process. I thought Lieberman's comments hit the nail right on the head, as we say in Texas. He even had some bite to them. But the European Union couldn't let it go without throwing in a little boilerplate of its own. In a statement, the EU said that the body of nations still had a strong interest in taking an active part in the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. And an EU Foreign Affairs Commission spokesperson commented, we're actively engaged and we have a strong interest in the current peace process in the Middle East. Mr. Lieberman must be shaking his head and thinking, did I just dream this? Was I talking to myself? Welcome to the world of international diplomacy when Israel is the topic. You talk and we don't listen. A few weeks ago, King Abdullah of Jordan was a guest on the Comedy Network's Daily Show with Jon Stewart. A comedy show is a fairly improbable venue, but what the king had to say was deadly serious. Abdullah told Stewart, if the issue of settlements are still at the table on the 30th, then everybody walks away. If they do, how are we going to get people back in the near future? I don't see that happening. We're at a defining crossroads of whether we're going to go down into the abyss or not. The Jordanian leader continued, if we fail on the 30th of September, expect another war by the end of the year, and more wars in the region over the coming years. Well, September 30th passed without an agreement. The probability that the king's prediction will come to pass is quite high. But according to Israeli military intelligence general Amos Yadlin, Israel is militarily stronger than ever. In an address on October 4th, he said that the Israeli military forces were ready to face simultaneous missile salvos from Iran, Lebanon, Syria, Gaza Strip, and the West Bank. Yadlin said, "I need to explain the probability for war, and I can safely say that Israel's deterrence and the Israeli Defense Forces' might is stronger than ever. We do not sit idly by, and we constantly check the situation to see whether this is the calm before the storm or a direct result of our actions. They're trying to increase their missiles array in terms of range and accuracy." Yadlin said that Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and Syria are amassing huge missile arsenals. But he said, tens of thousands of missiles are weapons of terror, not the kind you can conquer land or win a war with. General Yadlin says that Israel is facing a 5-front war, with the 5th front being dangerously close. That is, local Palestinian cities and towns. The danger confronting Israel cannot be overstated. If Yadlin is right, even stronger than ever, without divine intervention, might not be strong enough. I'll be right back. I don't have to convince you that times financially are getting difficult all over. But the Hal Lindsey Report really needs your help and your support. According to our figures, only a fraction of those who watch the show, both on television and on the website, actually do contribute. There was a small group that faithfully gave, that made things work, but now everyone is having to cut back, and we understand that. We're so grateful for those who so faithfully support us. And yet, we're going to need more of you to pitch in. As the Lord enables you, please remember us. The website costs a lot of money to keep going, and a great deal more to keep this on television. So I ask you to remember us in your prayers and in your gifts at the end of each month, will you?
To support this program, send your tax-deductible gift to Hal Lindsey Media Ministries, P.O. Box 470470, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74147. You can also support this ministry online. Visit HalLindsey.com or call 1-888-RAPTURE.
Well, that's it for tonight, folks. Remember that as things look darker on the world scene, and they're looking darker, we see a great hope, even brighter. That is the fact that with all of these things happening, the coming of Christ is very soon for the church. God bless you, and God willing, I'll see you next week.
You've been watching the Hal Lindsey Report. To support this program, send your tax-deductible gift to Hal Lindsey Media Ministries, P.O. Box 470470, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74147. You can also support this ministry online. Visit HalLindsey.com or call 1-888-RAPTURE.